Hey guys, Dusty here. Today I'm giving my first impressions review on the new Asics Metaspeed Sky. Now if you're unfamiliar with the Metaspeed Edge and the Metaspeed Sky, this year Asics came out with two new super shoes, and their thinking behind that was that there's two different types of runners out there. There's stride runners and there's cadence runners. So based on that, Asics made the Metaspeed Sky for stride runners in mind. So those are the type of runners who, as they get faster, their cadence more or less stays the same. It's just their stride length increases. That's what this shoe, the Metaspeed Sky, is for. And then on the flip side, they also made the Metaspeed Edge, which just released. And that shoe focuses on cadence runners. So as cadence runners go faster, their cadence increases as well as their stride length. So that's who the Metaspeed Edge is for. So where do I fall into this? I would definitely say that I'm a cadence runner. But with that being said, I'm testing both shoes. And let's get right into it with the Metaspeed Sky. So the Metaspeed Sky has a stack height of 33 in the rear, 28 in the forefoot for a heel to toe drop of 5 millimeters. My men's size 8.5 weighs in at 6.8 ounces or 192 grams. And that is super light, especially when you compare the shoe up against some of the other leading shoes in the marathon category. The Metaspeed Sky is right there at the top. The upper on this shoe features an engineered mesh. It's actually made out of 100% recycled polyester. This upper though has zero give to it whatsoever, and there is no sort of heel tab, so putting the shoe on is a little bit difficult. Now as far as the upper goes, it breathes really well. The tongue on the shoe is not gusseted and it's very, very thin. So far though, over 2 runs, I haven't had any issues with it slipping around. For those of you wondering, the insole on the Metaspeed Sky is not removable. The laces on the shoe are pretty basic. They might be a tad on the long side. I do really like the padding in the heel collar. It's not too much, it's not too little, it's just the right amount. And there is a little bit of extra padding that goes down your heel as well. But overall, everything about the upper, there's no real issues. It works just fine for a racing shoe. Now we'll move along to the midsole. And as many of you know, the midsole in combination with the carbon fiber plate is what's making a lot of these new super shoes really special and incredible. And this is Asics' new midsole, Flight Foam Blast Turbo midsole. It's a nylon based foam. It's super light, super responsive, offers plenty of cushion, and I think a lot of people are really going to like this midsole. And of course, sandwiched inside of this midsole is a full length, very stiff carbon fiber plate. Now if we move along to the outsole, we have some Asics grip rubber. It covers the entire forefoot, down the lateral side of the shoe, almost to the heel, and then there's a little bit on the inside of the heel as well. From what I hear, this rubber is very grippy. I've only taken this out in dry conditions, so I haven't tested it yet, but it did grip really well on dry pavement. And I do have to say my only concern about this outsole is all of this exposed midsole foam. Both in my Metaspeed Edge and in my Metaspeed Sky, although I did take the Sky on some trails, I am starting to see quite a bit of wear on this midsole foam. So I'm hoping it's just cosmetic, or else the shoe probably won't even make it to like 150K for me. But that's something I'll be sure to let you know of in my full review. Alright, so with the basic stats of the shoe out of the way, let's talk a little bit about the fit. The Sky as well as the Edge, not to compare too much, but they fit quite narrow in the heel and then widen up quite a bit in the forefoot. So if you're someone who has a wider foot, especially a wider forefoot, you might have finally found a super shoe that's going to work for you. Now as far as length, I went true to size at an 8.5, and I'm a little close to the end, so you may want to think about going up half a size. But I think for myself, this shoe does fit true to size. Yes, I'm close to the end, but I didn't feel my toe hitting the end. Unlike in the Metaspeed Edge, that shoe is definitely about half a size too small for me. Alright, so being totally honest, my first impressions of the shoe after 2 runs is I personally don't think it's as fast of a shoe as the Vaporfly or the Metaspeed Edge. But obviously this is a first impressions review. Let me put many more runs into the shoe and see if my opinion changes. And with that being said, the shoe does have a lot of really good things going for it as well. So I did 2 runs in the shoe. I did a 12.5K run with some kilometer intervals as well as some tempo work. And then I also did an 18K easy long run in this shoe, and I will say that this shoe feels better the faster you go. Doing the intervals and the tempo work in this shoe just felt like you could put it in cruise control, and it was very comfortable running those faster paces. And then one interesting thing about my long run, I had ran it with a friend and we had done just our normal easy long run pace, and this shoe felt okay at that pace. But one thing I noticed after the run was my heart rate was much lower on that long run in this shoe than it had been previously in my other normal long run shoes, which are not super race day shoes. So I find that very interesting. I'm gonna have to do some more testing with this shoe at like half marathon pace and especially marathon pace, kind of to see at what sort of paces is this shoe making me really efficient, because obviously in that long easy run I was very efficient, and the only thing I had changed from previous long runs was which shoe I was wearing. This shoe also, for being a max cushioned race day shoe, felt really quite stable, especially going around corners. And you'll notice that when you put this shoe on, and especially when you start walking around, it has a pretty aggressive rocker feel to it, and it feels really nice when you're out there running. I wouldn't call it as aggressive of a pop forward as something like the Nike Vaporfly, but it is there in the shoe, and it is a really comfy ride. It's probably one of the most comfiest rides out of all the super shoes that I own. And the only reason I'm a little hesitant to say this shoe isn't as fast as the Vaporfly or the Metaspeed Edge, first of all, the Vaporfly has proven itself to me to be one of the fastest race day shoes out there. I love that shoe. But maybe it's because I know that I'm a cadence runner, not a stride runner. So maybe subconsciously I'm hanging that over my head, knowing that this shoe probably isn't as good for me as the Metaspeed Edge. But typically I do like racing in shoes that have a higher drop, like 8 to 10 millimeters, whereas this one, the Metaspeed Sky, only has a heel to toe drop of 5 millimeters. With that being said, I think a lot of runners might prefer this as their favorite race day shoe over a lot of other options out there. It has that max cushioning. It's still super rigid and snappy because of that ultra stiff carbon fiber plate. The fit on the shoe is really nice, really holds down your heel nicely, and then there's ample room in the forefoot. So for those of you with a wider foot, huge plus. And then there's price. So the Metaspeed Sky retails for $250 US or $325 Canadian. So that's right up there with all the other top dogs of the running shoe world. And while Nike has been getting away with these crazy prices because people know that these shoes make them faster, I don't know if Asics has proven that yet. They're definitely on the right track with this shoe and the Metaspeed Edge. But of course, I'd like to see some of these other brands coming in with their super shoes a little bit less expensive. So ultimately, I'm still not sure where I stand on the Metaspeed Sky. I have plenty more testing to do. According to Asics, I don't fall into this category. I'm more a Metaspeed Edge guy. So stay tuned. Over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be running as much as I can in the Metaspeed Sky and the Metaspeed Edge, and then I can put out my full reviews and then finally do a comparison video between the Sky and the Edge. So thanks for watching, and down below in the comments, let me know if you have a Metaspeed Sky or a Metaspeed Edge and what you think of them. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.